now you guys can hear me. And you also have Aaron, the wonderful assistant, hanging out with us too. Hello, everybody. Hello, Internet. What's going on? We're mucking around. We'll wait for more people to join in. But yeah, I think we just need to secure that harness better. If not, I'd like to put a strap, but I'm not taking the playfield out to like make that better. So it's what I'll do is I'll tie them all together, right? Okay. Oh wait, no, the gigantic harness gathery guy is still there. Why did I not notice that? Okay, see that big tube? Yep. All that crap's supposed to be in the tube. Hello, hi, welcome. What's going on, Internet? We're here. We're doing things to Elvira. It's getting better. This shit's gonna be super cool. Lights, organ. How's it going? Hello. Check out this cool shirt that my friend Michael Grant gave me. Greetings from Chicago, the pinball capital of the world. Ta-da, ta-da. This is the only time you'll ever see me wearing something that's not black. This is like the most colorful I've been in some time. But let me shove all these wires in this super cool wire holder guy. And then we will, I can show you what the playfield looks like, how we have an Elvira that's kind of back together. And we're going to be doing something under the playfield, which I think is a lot more interesting to most people. So let's, oh God, this is dirty. What's up? Oh, yeah. We're just, sorry, I'll show you what I'm doing here in just a second. We had I have a harness dressing issue in this game. I'm just trying to get these wires back in. Okay, I'm slightly sweaty. Is it hot in here? Or am I just gross? How's everyone doing? It's a whole new week here on planet Earth. The hot days of June here in tropical South Carolina. It's kind of gross outside. Actually, it's kind of nice because it rained, but that just means it's going to be extremely humid as soon as the sun comes out tomorrow. Hey, that's cool. Nice. Look at that camera. We still have Noamoto. She will be back maybe today, maybe not today, but soon. Okay, take a look-see. Ta-da. Look at all that. It's all back together, almost, sort of, mostly, almost all the way there. Patented saying. I need to, oh, I'm all over the place. I need to remember what cameras are on before I'm like standing around making myself look like a dork. Yeah, so it's back together. I still need to secure these ramps behind the back plane. And we also need to install the boogeyman. This game is going to get new boogeymen, so it's going to be pretty cool. And yeah, other than that, I'm extremely stoked that everything is back together. So we will be able to get rid of this damn game. I would love to send it back to the customer, but we still have some more work to do. Not everything is done. I'm going to come up to this camera. I put the Party Punch ball gate dress up together, but I decided not to rivet it, and then I didn't think about it, but since I put these giant nuts on the back, I can't screw it down anymore. So we need to rivet this assembly, which I'll do tomorrow when I go back to the office. But yes, slowly moving along. Borg Dog chatted with Emoto at the show in Tacoma. That's super cool. I hope that you enjoyed that. Emoto is a really nice, fun person to talk to. She's a really swell person. She's probably listening right now, so I'm trying to talk her up. Huh? Swell. She's real swell. Thank you. This is a pretty cool shirt. Again, the only time you'll ever see me wear something light. I'm very much a black on black kind of fella, but you know, what you gonna do? I'm super stoked though. My friend Michael Grant gave me this shirt and I like it a lot. So, yeah, so we're gonna work on the underside of this playfield today. We're gonna work on some drop targets. I don't think we've worked on this kind of drop target since we worked on roller games 3 years ago, very long time. So we can do a little bit of discovery there, a little teaching, and then we will also maybe put new Flipper stuff together. I'm off screen right now, just adjusting some cameras. Let's see, I want to turn that one on, I think. Yeah, okay. Hello, Daniel. Hey, there's the man himself. Thank you. I love this shirt. It's super cool. Guybrush, hello, from France. Welcome. I know that word. I know that name.
Bonjour.
Bonjour. I don't speak any French, unfortunately. And when I was at Texas, Jack and I were walking out from breakfast, and the French dudes, Rudy and Guillaume, were doing a live stream of like the Texas Pinball Festival, and they both like came. And I'm talking to Aaron and the internet right now. And they both came up and like bum rushed and came around us and like were speaking French very passionately. And then he turned to me, Rudy said, "It's like, do you have anything you want to say to your friends in France, or your fans in France?" And I was like, "Hello, but I don't speak any French, I'm sorry." And he's like, "Oh, no, no problem." And then he said the same thing to Jack. And then Jack started singing head, shoulders, knees, and toes in French. And I was like, what the hell? What bizarro world are we in? But then Jack explained to me that he did elementary school in Quebec, I think. Some portion of elementary school where he had to do bilingual stuff. So anyways, Daniel, hello. Thank you for joining us from Croatia. We have our European contingent here. Sometimes we have some Germans, Austrians, sometimes some Danish people, Norwegian people. Even a Swedish guy will show up every once in a while. I've got friends all over the world, so thanks for joining. Anyways, Elvira is looking really sweet. Actually, let's do a bit of a glory shot really quick. And just to show, like, I think we've been working on this stupid game forever. And it was pretty rough when we started. And it's not necessarily like a ton better, but this is the difference of taking a game that is a little, you know, meh, and putting some nice new clean parts onto it, right? So new plastics, new ramps, it really does make the game look a whole lot more polished. When you take a game apart and you remove all of the pieces to it, you can see every single imperfection. When you put it back together, a lot of those imperfections tend to blend back into the background, right? Remember all of the massive damage up here on those inserts? Now, you can still see them, and they are still quite damaged, but when you are at this vantage, when you're playing pinball and appreciating the game, you don't really see that kind of stuff so much. So definitely looking a lot nicer. Still a little bit more work to go. I think we will have another episode on this game that is going to be like the finishing touches, you know, and then maybe we'll play it that same episode. Oh wow, the cameras just did something totally weird. Sorry if that was really awkward. Maybe I didn't check that layer before I started using it, but what you gonna do? Okay, let's switch back to the main camera. Yeah, okay, there's our Austrian contingent. I saw on Facebook that you have now started your own business, Gabor. That's very cool. I hope that everyone in Austria that needs their pinball game fixed will come to you. So, good work. Was there a pinball event in Austria or Germany? I know that they had the finals for the IFPA stuff in Fulda, but was there not a show? I saw Stefan at RNS Amusements was posting some stuff about an event recently. Just curious. But yeah, let's lift this game up. Oh, this light is like totally blowing out my light-colored shirt from this far away. It's not a rerun this time. This is not. The Flipper Doctor is in business. All right. Well, if I ever meet any more Austrians that need some assistance from the Flipper Doctor, I know who to have them contact. It is almost done, Daniel. We're very, very close. Mark van der Gugten said the 11 Days of Pinball. Is that an event? Is that a
pinball-themed beer event?
I am all about pinball-themed beer events. Man, yeah, I'm good at rerun stuff. See how I impeccably timed that again? Because this was filmed like 3 months ago. This is a rerun. At the Pacific Pinball Museum in Alameda, we used to do an event called Pins and Pints. There was a SF Beer Week. The bunch of breweries would get together and like put on a big beer event all throughout the Bay Area. But we did the Pins and Pints at the Pinball Museum. So breweries and other specialty bottle shops would bring a bunch of beer out, and you'd buy tickets, and you could have the whole museum of 90 games. Oh yeah, good. It's still going on. Yeah, it's great. It's one of my favorite events because there's two things in this world and this time that I get to be alive is I love pinball and I love beer. Those are my two favorite things. So anyways, we've got the underside of Elvira. We're going to be doing some work. I think that we are going to work on the drop targets on the bench. They are absolutely mangled. I don't think we're going to be able to zoom in close enough to see from this distance, but what I see here is someone has taken some of these springs and instead of using the factory eyelet, they've pulled the spring really far down to add some more downward force onto the drop target. Thankfully, the drop target is really simple to work on at your bench. Actually, here, before I say we're going to work on things at the bench, let me make a little bit of room on said bench so we can do some work. If Drager is here, I still have this. I'm going to bring it back with me to the office, and I'm going to send it to you tomorrow. I swear. He's like, yeah, I heard that last week. Let me clean up my tools here. We got to set ourselves up for success a little bit. So. Okay. Let me make sure Drager's precious plastic is out of the way. Let's see. I'm going to want to bring that camera over. I guess you're going to get a little bit of a break, Aaron, because we're going to use the top-down camera for a little bit. Okay, so all of that. Let's see. We'll bring this over. And then we're going to do flippers. So that's when you get to do a lot of your work. Will you make the center camera be the one that's now above the bench here really quick? I don't know. Just click on them until it comes. We used to have it set up so like we would know which one was on a stand and which one was like the close-up camera. And then through technical difficulties, it is not like that anymore. OK. I'm going to dismount. Actually, can you, on the top right, can you put the Sony cam on? So yeah, so click on the eyeball right there. OK, please avert your attention to the top right really quick. Can you zoom in using the actual camera on where my hands are? Actually, we might need to reverse this. We'll see. So zoom in on this guy. Yeah, you're good. We could just, is it not moving down? I think I have it really tight. Oh, there it goes. Actually, I'm sorry. Let's swap the cameras. I forgot how much work we actually have to do right here. So zoom, stay where you are. I'll swap the cameras. Is it out of focus? Yep. Don't even worry about it. I'll move the other camera over. Sorry, everyone. We're trying to figure out how we do things, how we make things work here.
Focus now.
So let's see. So in the middle, I want that camera in the middle. So I wanted to push that button. This is hard to do without an Emoto. Emoto is such, I mean, for so many reasons. So just because this one focuses better, Aaron, I'm just going to put this guy over here for now. So, okay, so we've got a drop target bank. This is pretty easy to work on the bench. We first remove the electrical connections from our opto board. Then I guess the easier way to do it is we're going to remove the coil next. The coil is going to be taken out with two, I think these are 11/32 screw nuts. They are. So we're going to release the coil. Actually, no, we'll do it the other way. So we're going to take it out first. We can take the stop off, and that's actually going to make it a lot easier. So we can unscrew these, what is it, 6 screws that are holding it to the playfield. I like to just set these screws on the magnet, the speaker magnet, when I'm doing work like this. It's not a good place to store things when you're taking a million things apart, but if you're just removing one assembly, it's a handy spot to keep things. I'm going to come in here and remove these lower screws. I always like to remove the screws like downwards that are a little harder to get to first, right? So that means when I need to take it off, the last screw I'm going to do is a really easy to access one so I can still support the assembly or unit with my hand, if that makes sense, right? So I'm going to get these ones that are kind of not as much in visible range first. And then the last couple will be very easy, and then I can support the weight of it as I remove the last screw. Okay, that can fall and go somewhere I didn't see. Oh, hey, there's actually another screw down here that I didn't see because I wasn't paying attention. So that whole spiel about supporting it really means nothing. Okay. This guy doesn't want to come out, so I got to use my fingers. I was thinking about that today. I had to take a bunch of the game apart that we put back together last week. And I was thinking, it's like, what do you need to actually work on a pinball game? It's like, well, tools. Definitely need tools. What's the other things you need to work on a pinball game? A lot of patience and dexterity. I think dexterity really is actually the most important bit. Once we get the unit off,
Beer kettle.
oh, you know what I didn't get? I didn't get decals for the drop targets.
Oh, select myself.
Yeah.
For all of them? Right.
Yeah. Actually, I wonder if we even have those. I don't know, actually, I don't know if we have a vendor for those, since it's, Williams artwork that is not reproducible. We're going to remove the coil stop here, and what that'll allow us to do is bring this whole unit over to our bench. Now, you can service this in the game, depending on where the drop target bank actually is. Sometimes it's easier to service it in the game. But for the amount of service I know we're going to need to do to this thing, it's just going to be easier to set yourself up to do it at the bench. So, coil sleeve does not want out. There we go. Hey, and now we have a drop target bank out of the game. So I'm going to move it over here and then tune back into the chat and see what you fine folks are saying. Oh, you have my favorite stool. I was like, where's my favorite? Where's the? No, this foot's cool. I don't need it now. I just was like, where did I go? No, it's fine. It's fine. Where is Emoto? Emoto is on her way back from a family event, so she actually might be here. Actually, can you open up Slack on my computer? and see, because maybe she's sitting there like, give me the code. Actually, she'd probably come into the chat and say like, where the heck are I? Where are you? Give us a second, everybody, while we do some behind the scenes things here. Emoto is not there. Okay, that's fine. You can just minimize it, would you? Yeah. Gabor asks, have you magnetized your Klein screwdrivers? So my nut driver set is a magnetized set, but unfortunately, you probably can't see in here. A lot of the times the magnets actually break and shatter. These are hollow nut drivers. That's what you need. I have a set of, well, here, let's talk about that for a second. So unfortunately, I'm too lazy to replace these are expensive. These are a very expensive tool. It's something like $100 for a set of the 6 of them or something. But they're very high quality. The one problem I have is with the magnets. The magnets do like to shatter. So the magnets are inserted as a hollow inside here, and then it's a hollow shaft. One thing you'll find with pinball a lot of the time, right, you are working on using these things to remove nuts off of studs, and the magnets are brittle and they will shatter. The only one that I have that is still magnetized is my 1/4-inch nut driver, which is your most common size for doing a lot of stuff. And a lot of the times I'll only use this nut driver for assembly, and I kind of have like a sacrificial hollow nut driver for disassembly. The reason I use them for disassembly versus assembly is because when I'm putting something together, I want to be able to hold the screw with this magnet. While I'm taking something apart, usually the magnet isn't as important. So these things are nice too if you're really rough with them. These Xcelite ones, or however you say that, Xcelite, is when they start to round off, like this one is pretty bad, even though it's not focusing. You get it onto a bench grinder and then just grind off like a millimeter, and it gets rid of all the rounded off stuff, and you have a really solid nut driver still. With a screwdriver, though, I do magnetize them. I keep a big magnet in there, and you can just run a magnet up and down the shaft to magnetize it, and it works for a while. So. Pez was fixing his drop targets on Taxi, so he knows we have those. Mr. J. Crane, you don't need diodes on this system because they put the diodes for the coils on an auxiliary driver board. Same thing with WPC. System 11 and WPC games, so the Williams games from the 1986 until the end, do not need a diode on the coils other than the flippers. But if you do run a diode, it's fine. You can have the diodes running redundant. It's fine.
Oh, hi, Moto.
Hi, Emoto. What's up? Oh, you're not back yet? That's fine. I can read most of what Daniel's saying there. Eternal Grimmy. Okay, good. Everyone's working. Okay, so let's stop reading the chat now. Someone said, do you have to replace those drop targets? Well, I don't know. Actually, if there's someone on the internet that wants to go to marcopinball.com right now and wants to look up Elvira drop target decals, Erin's shaking her head. It doesn't look like we have these, which is unfortunate, but it's just an unfortunate reality. But these, the only reason I wouldn't want to reuse these targets is because they get brittle, and these are likely the original drop targets. They can become quite brittle. Now, with a little bit of, I don't know, patience, I suppose I could clean them, remove them from the old targets, and then apply some adhesive and then put them on the new ones. This game definitely needs, it needs the drop target decals, but unfortunately, if they're not available, well, we're kind of SOL. I won't elaborate on what that means. if you don't know. Okay, so this is a pretty simple assembly, but do mind and remember the order that these things go on and off on. So my favorite tool to work on this assembly is my bent screwdriver. To get the opto board off, we are going to remove the 3 E-clips that are holding the board to the frame. To do that, with E-clips this size, the chances of them like absolutely running away from you is low. On some assemblies, I learned this trick when I worked on motorcycles, is like using a rag and then prying them off. When they want to spring away from you, the rag will catch it. With these, they're so small you can kind of catch them with your thumb. So I'll keep my thumb here. I'll catch the E-clip and then rotate and push. And off it goes. I'll do that for the other guys here. Now do notice also, right, this is part of the order of operations we have to remember when we take them apart. No washer, washer, washer. You can kind of tell when we get this thing apart how these studs are spaced and how you would have a ton of wiggle room if you didn't have the washers in the correct spot. All right, get those off, get our washers off. Now we can pry the opto board up and off. Now I haven't validated that this works. We could do that, I guess, before we put it back together, but the washers help and ensure the spacing of the opto board. If we look at the drop targets themselves, they have these fins on them. The fins are in the center of the screen, closer to the long studs. So those fins are what interrupts the opto. So when we have this back together, I think you'll be able to see this just fine. So you see the actually here, let me turn this light on too. Now you can see it. It's extremely contrasted, but you have the opto right there. And watch as I move the drop target up and down. That little fin breaks the path of the infrared light, thus registering a change of state. The computer reads this switch as always closed, right? Because the beam is blocked. When the drop target falls, it becomes an open switch, and then the computer will work on, the software is looking for that. So that's what those little fins are for. And again, the reason we change drop targets is because when they become brittle, they snap. These ones are actually still kind of pliable. This game doesn't take a lot of direct hits. The drop targets are kind of something that gets, what's it called? Like a glancing blow, if you will. So we might be able to clean these up and reuse them just because these drop target decals are semi-unobtainium. So taking the rest of this apart, a little bit more difficult because we have more things to keep track of, but really not that hard. These are held in with 6 more E-clips, 2 per stud. The one thing that you need to remember just is the positioning, right? It's pretty simple. The bottom ones, right? Just E-clips. The upper ones are 2 washers, a spring, and then the E-clip that holds it all together. The spring is there to put enough forward tension on the drop target so when it is to be raised up by the coil, that spring underneath is what gives it, pushes it forward for that lip to catch. Did you see that? There's a lip right here, a plastic lip that's installed along the top of the frame. Let me show you a new and naked drop target. And there is the foot that catches onto that lip. So these springs are in place here to push the drop target just ever so forward to catch that lip when they're resetting and to hold it in place. Then when the ball hits the target, it pushes it away from that lip and falls down due to the pressure of this expansion spring here. One common problem with these drop target banks is there was a teeny bit of grease installed on these drop targets from the factory to facilitate just smooth running up and down. And as 30-something years has gone by, it's become gunky. And people will just mangle springs and make them like extra super strong by pulling them away from their original eyelet and doing that to it. So that's the first thing I noticed. I think if we're going to reuse these drop targets, we'll clean this grease up and try to put them back on with some new springs. So let's get to work on that. Same thing. We're going to pop these guys off. Clippy, clippy. This drop target system was used by Williams all the way until the end. So the not very many games in the WPC era that used drop targets still used basically this exact same setup. The stern drop target banks of today are also still relatively similar. They use the same plastic ledge in a very, very similar shaped drop target, if not identical. It might be the same mold, actually. I'm pretty sure it is. All right, dump these off. Do not lose these washers. These washers are a very specific width. I'll show you what I mean here. You see how the drop target has? I turned my cam girl light off. You see how it has a kind of an indent, like a hot dog shaped indent running up and down here. This washer fits like almost exact. It's a little bit of wiggle room, but it's a almost exact fit, and they're very skinny. It's a very thin washer. It's not like a wafer washer, but the dimensions are important here, so don't lose them. You can get replacements, but why replace something if you don't have to? We'll get all these nasty old springs away. And then we're left with a naked drop target bank. We can inspect the lifty fingers. The lifty fingers are not damaged. These do snap. The ones you see snap more often than not are single lift drop targets for whatever reason. But this plunger has a stud, a threaded stud coming out the end. And to attach these, you just simply screw it onto the plunger. It's a pretty simple, elegant assembly. But we will want to clean this. I actually am going to need to go grab the lacquer thinner. Actually, Aaron, may I ask you? Can you go over and see if there is some lacquer thinner on the chemical shelf? And would you please bring me a few paper towels as well?
Absolutely.
Thank you. I appreciate you. I'm reading the chat now, so sorry, y'all. Yeah, the optos are a basically maintenance-free method for detecting. Well, you don't need to adjust it, right? The biggest problem you're going to have with an opto on a drop target bank is an opto that becomes very dirty after decades of use, where on older games that used leaf switches or micro switches, sometimes the actuators can become out of whack and you need to adjust them. So optos are most manufacturers, as they progressed and made their games a little more technologically advanced, would try to make things easier to service or more service-free, right? A game that works longer earns more money. So those sorts of upgrades are fantastic. Do you have the rubber part that stops the flipper mech when the coil is at rest? Yes. Yes, we do. Look up rubber grommets. They're in there. Well, I mean, what you actually know, go open the manual for the game you're talking about, and the part number's in there. You'll see it on the manual. It's probably going to be in a metal. It's going to lacquer thinner, or show me all the bottles. That's wax. No, it might be in a blue bottle. I know there's some here. It might not be in that bin. Look on the right side of that shelf, and it might be next to my can of naphtha. For JJP flippers. It's going to be the same as a Williams flipper part. But we should have most of our Williams and Jersey Jack parts that are compatible cross-referenced. So, hello. I am very happy for your subscription. Thank you, mate. And thank you for the kind words. We're very happy that you have time to stop in as well. Yep, Daniels. Yeah, it's the same. And they used it until the Williams days. Mr. J. Crane, they're LEDs. They're LED. Yeah, paint thinner, that works fine. What's the other can next to the naphtha? What's the one in your hand? Apple. I'll take the paint thinner, I guess. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay. Ugh. One thing that Williams did that was kind of problematic is to get the optos to be reliable. I forget what voltage I think the optos ran at 12 volts. That's what they were supposed to run at. It's a 12-volt LED. But to make them extra reliable, oh, okay, hold on. Story will continue. But there are washers on the top studs. These guys here. So I'm going to take these off. Those do need to go back on. Remember, the spacing is relatively critical, but I want to clean off a lot of the dirt. And I'm using some paint thinner, lacquer thinner, whatever you can find. It's bad for you. To get the optos to be bright enough and reliable enough, I don't know if it's to make them more reliable or if it was just because this is how it worked. But a lot of these games, right, you'll have a unregulated and a regulated voltage. So you get, you'll get your voltage coming in from the transformer. It's rectified, turned DC. And then a lot of the times that'll be sent through a regulator to make it stable. So you have, let's talk about 5 volts. 5 volts comes in as 12 volts. It is then rectified and then regulated down to 5. Some games will have a regulated 12. Williams used their unregulated 12-volt DC to do other things. Now, your unregulated 12, as the name implies, is not regulated. And a lot of the times their 12-volt unregulated would be closer to 13, 14 volts. And what is the bonus of that? Well, it made the optos very bright. It made them reliable, but it did cut their life down. So you do find out that a lot of times these opto pairs, you will burn the transmitters out, or the transmitters will burn themselves out. So what if we had a bad transmitter on this board? What are our options? Well, we can replace the opto pair. That takes soldering. That takes 5 minutes. And as long as there's nothing else wrong with the board, you might fix it right there. Or you could buy a whole new board, which might cost you $50, $60, $70 or more dollars. I would always recommend just trying an opto. Nowadays, with our cameras on our cell phones, you can actually see infrared light through some of these opto pairs. Or you can get a infrared light test stick like I have here. What this opto pair is just a infrared LED on one side and a phototransistor on the other side. So it's a very short beam that needs to be pathed. As opposed to, like, let's think about a ball trough where you have 2 separate boards and an infrared LED and an infrared phototransistor. So these are just paired up into one, manageable package. But these aren't serviceable, right? If the infrared LED goes bad, you have to change the whole unit. And one thing you can try to do with these things too, if they're not working or if they're unreliable, is get a little bit of some sort of a solvent, maybe a little bit of paint thinner. Get a, what is it called? A Q-tip, like a cotton swab. Get it a little bit wet and then swab the inside of the opto. And a lot of times you'll carry out some dirt. the dirt is going to cover up the actual covers or the bits that transit the light. And if you can get some of that dirt away, sometimes they'll start working again. So I would do that before you just go and start replacing stuff. Anyways, let's clean some drop targets. Let's see how nice we can get them, and that will help us figure out what we're going to do to put them back together. I'm going to use Novus because it is wonderful and cleans everything. I'm not going to use the paint thinner because like chemicals like that and like petroleum products sometimes can make your targets melty or nasty or weak. So we're going to use Novus because it's safe and it is a good cleaner. Aside from cleaning up, right, the actual face, we want to see how nice those decals do look. But we want to clean the rest of the target as well. We want to clean off a lot of the gunk, because having a nice smooth surface or a clean surface that is going to glide up and down against our drop target frame is also going to help the action of the drop targets. We definitely want to clean in the groove where the washer goes. This drop target is broken, but it's fine. It's snapped in a place where it's not going to cause issue, but I'll show you where it's broken after I clean out this little channel, get as much of the gunk and nastiness as I can out. The goal is going to be to put these away dry. I want to make sure everything's clean enough that when we put it back together, it's going to function just fine without having to use any lubricant. If we do need to use lubricant, I mean, it's fine. But see what we can do without it. We do have a broken bit on the drop target here. You see how that at the bottom? And the only thing that this does is get touched by the lifter. So that's kind of okay. I did forget what order these drop targets were in, but I don't think it matters. Somebody's going to come in and say, those are not the correct order. You did it wrong. And that's fine. I admit it now. I forgot. Some games will actually have like they'll match like bits of the art or something, and maybe it does, and I just didn't notice, but we'll put it back together whichever way seems the most pleasing to us.
They look a lot brighter now.
Yeah, they're not as grody, huh? It'll be okay. I guess I'll just include new drop targets with the game. And, you know, if they break, well, there you go. Someone else can figure it out. I can hear myself, Serene. Rewind to see the right order. No, you rewind to see the right order. You tell me. It's not my job. Gee, no, I'm just kidding. This decal's a little on the grody side, but it is okay. Let's clean up that gunk. Okay, cool. It might be a good idea to try and clean some of these washers too, because they do have some of that nasty on there. So I'll get my nasty or the dirty part of my Novus rag and just kind of wipe it off. A lot of the times, like, again, if I had my own shop or if I was in the shop I used to work in, at my bench I'd always have like a really nasty Novus rag, like our super saturated nasty Novus rag to do this kind of stuff with. And then you keep a nice Novus rag, or not a one that you touch grime with, to clean like a playfield. But, oh well. Hello, Digirati. Yeah, everyone's like, just watch the VOD. You think I'm going to cancel the stream so I could watch the VOD and then start the stream again so I can put this back together? No, y'all. We're just going to do it live.
Are the optos incandescent or LED?
Oh, we already went over that one. They are LEDs. Yeah. Light emitting diodes. There were some optical sensors. There are circuits that use incandescent lights for like an optical circuit. The one that I can think of, at least that's coin operated adjacent, is in the BC 3500, the row changers, those big gigantic changers of our childhoods. They used a 14 volt, I think, long life bulb to make sure that there was not a coin jam. And if they go bad, you will get a big light that says coin jam. And then you get to figure out why there's a coin jam. And you're like, man, there's actually no coin jam. What the hell? And then you see, oh, the light bulb's burnt out. And then you fix it. Howdy, Digerati Ohm. Welcome to the chat room. So someone followed, and then someone smiled at me. So maybe it's Aaron on Twitch. OK, thank you, Aaron. So the black drop target drops down and interrupts the LED beam between them. Opposite. When the drop target is at rest in the up position, it blocks the LED. When it goes down, the LED becomes unblocked, and that is how the game reads a switch closure. OK, so let's make sure that there's no there is no indication of what order these might go in. But you know what I will do? JAM. So the one on the right, I'm going to make them in order of their part number, because that is the most sensible thing that I can do. So 31-1463-2011-1SP is going to be the one that is going to be J. 2 will be A. And 3 will be M. This is actually, we can talk about Williams part numbers for just 1 second. 31 is the prefix for screened artwork or artwork. So that can be decals or plastic sets or whatever. The middle number, the 1463, I don't know exactly what that is. The reason I say that is because 2011 is the model number of the game. So drop target decals for another game might be 31-1463-20010, right, for whatever model number that is. And then 1SP, 1 is like an individual, I mean, that's like the identifier. SP, I don't know what that means. But 2011 is the model number for Elvira. So you might have that nomenclature shared between many games with just the last couple digits determining what it actually is. OK, so the bottom targets get their eclipse. I have calloused enough fingers from years of playing bass and working on things where I can just push these on with my finger. If you can't push them on with your finger, use your screwdriver. Get it into the groove, the clip, that is, and then push the top of the clip down into the groove so it snaps in. And then those guys live like that. And we put on washers. 1, 2, 3. And then we put on springs. 1, 2, 3. And we put on another washer in an E-clip. Grab the washer, compress the spring, put the clip onto its groove, and clip, rinse, repeat. Do that here, push it down, clip it in, push it down, and clip it in. All right, sweet, good job, we did it. All right, well, now what's next? I find the springs that I yanked out of a bin. 1, 2, 3. These are the kinds of things that make this a joy to do on the bench, right? We were able to clean this easy. We're not hunching over. And look how easy it is to install springs when you are at your bench and not hunched over. You go like that. And then you go like this, and oh my gosh, look how easy that was. OK. I'll do that again. The one thing that does break on these things sometimes is actually this finger where the springs do go. So that is something to keep an eye out for. There's no reason to really ever replace this bracket unless you do have that broken. Let's also talk about these guys down here at the bottom. These screws, hold on. These screws and nuts at the bottom adjust the bottom out, I suppose. So these things rest up against the bottom of the flange that moves these guys up and down. And what that does is allows you to make sure the drop targets will sit just ever so slightly below the playfield, so they don't stick up. And right, does that make sense? If it allows you to, yeah, that's what it does. I don't know. There's nothing that doesn't make sense about that, right? When the drop targets are down, it's resting on the flange and the fingers. So if you needed to go a little bit further down, well, you can loosen these things and lower it a butt hair or raise it a butt hair, whatever you want. Okay, I think it might be in our best interest to test this opto board before we put everything back on, but now I have to read the chat. Yeah, the Jesus rings. My auto shop teacher in high school, he called them Oshi clips. And I was like, what is an Oshi clip? Like, why do you call it that, Dick? Is because when they go flying, your first response is to yell, "Oh shit!" So Jesus, oh shit, same thing. Yeah, that's a good one though. Okay, let's do this. We're gonna test this thing. So I need power. I'm gonna unplug this, and we're going to plug in some Elvira, and we're gonna put this thing into switch test. This is, I think, as far as we've ever really gone with this thing. I know we've put it into music test just so we could hear the super sweet jams of Elvira. I think it looks like I need to replace the plug end on this thing too. Let's bring this guy over. You've got two plugs. You have 12 volts and ground here. Black is ground, gray in Williams's, or gray yellow is 12. So that goes on to one plug here. And then the other plug is your switch matrix. You've got one column and 3 rows that attaches right here. Okay. We're going to kind of put this out of the way so I can turn the game on. Make sure it's not touching anything that'll zap. Power the game up. We're going to put it into test mode, which I'm going to do here. These buttons are a little sticky, haven't been used in a while. Music test, display test, sound test, lamps, coils, switch levels. We want switch edges. Okay, so we can turn the game up a little because we'll get an audio cue. Let's close a switch. Get a little boop. All right, we're going to get a tool. We're going to pick up our drop target board, and we're just going to put the screwdriver in between the opto pair. Nothing. 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 Okay, great. Why? Doesn't look like we have a broken, any cracked solder. Might have just absolutely burnt out optos, and how we can check that is going to be using the visible light testing doodad. I don't remember which end is the emitter and which is the receiver, but let's do both sides, and I see absolutely nothing. I see absolutely nothing. I see absolutely nothing. Okay, so we're 3 for 3. It is bad. Okay, that is something we'll just have to deal with later. We can totally install the drop targets again. Actually, you know what? Just for giggles. Just for giggles, let me not put this somewhere where it's going to... Actually, I'll just unplug it. I'm just going to measure 12 volts really quick. We don't have 12 volts. We're not going to get nothing. Hair is in my eyes. I'm getting my hair cut next Thursday. Yeah, next Thursday in the morning. I'm going to make the appointment when I get home. I think I'm going to keep my hair long-ish, but just get it cleaned up. All right, let's plug that bad boy in, and well, I mean, I guess I could just measure it at the plug. I don't need to really plug the board in. Okay, so we're gonna put black on black. Oh, hey, this actually kind of sucks because it's a crappy IDC connector. Here's your once a week reminder to not use IDC connectors. Leave them in your game, but if you buy them, you're bad. We are not friends. Just kidding. I can't get this thing to bite. Well, I seemingly don't have 12 volts here. So we're not 0 for 0. We might have no 12 volts at this plug. Okay, well, interesting. Let's figure that out. But first, let's reassemble the drop target bank. I'm going to power the game down for now. Let's FU clips, yes. Ambient light, maybe, but it seems like we have no voltage. No power to the board, yes, that's what we're going to check, or we did check. There is no coin door interlock switch on these games. There's just a memory protect, which makes it so the game won't input data unless that door switch is open. IDC connector, Jerry Vision. IDC is an insulation displacement connector. That's what these things are. These guys, the way you build these is you get wire and you push them onto these connectors, and it displaces the insulation. So it makes teeny slits into the wire, which then creates a connector for the plug. They're just not reliable. They're very fast to manufacture, but not reliable after 40 years. So if you have the option to replace them with the crimp and stuff, that's always much better. So we've got drop targets. We've got them raised. Now let's see if they fall. I'm going to just push them very gently. Gentler than a ball could ever touch it. That's my goal. It slams down, slams down. Okay, these are good. We don't need lube. These are clean and they function properly. That's what we're looking for. So I'm going to reassemble this sucker. To get this thing back together, you kind of need to finagle it just a little bit. You have to it's a long coil sleeve to help keep the plunger true. But I think the order you have to do it in is you have to put the coil stop in first, kind of. I'm just going to do it without talking, and then you guys can just figure out what I did. Kind of have to go like this. No, I'm wrong. Oh, God. I'm going to raise the drop target so I don't have to finagle with that anymore. IDC, it don't connect. Yes, that is it, dude. Okay, so we got the coil sleeve kind of protruding through. We're gonna, actually I think, maybe not, maybe you just push it all the way in. Maybe these ones are like this, where you could put that on the studs and then you can kind of cock the coil up a little bit, and I think it all comes home. Nope. I think this one you do have to kind of assemble it as a little team, and then it works. It's been a minute since I've done this, so bear with me. Oh, I got it. I know I got this. I won't be defeated.
try it like this. It's always fun doing things on camera when you're like, wait, how did this go together again? Bear with me. Maybe the way I used to do this actually is you loosen the, yeah, never mind, hold on. I think I remember how I did this. I used to do this. You loosen the bottom so you have a teeny bit of wiggle room so you can kind of get it all to sandwich back together. That allows us now to have some wiggle and some deflection, and then you push this little coil stop in here, and then you get it straightened out on the studs, and now it's one big happy family. The way we get this back together, though, is to tighten down or get everything like snug, and then you push them together so everything is held very in place, if that makes sense, or it doesn't have room to wriggle. You'll see what I mean. Get one nut, get two nuts. Since these are elastic stop nuts, we're going to want to use our tool to get them, again, prepped, primed, tightened up a little bit here. Not tight, but we're snugging. Okay, so now what we're going to want to do is just ensure that everything is nice and square and tight. So what I want to do is kind of like push on the bracket we just loosened at the top here without getting in the way of the nuts. I'm squeezing it all together, right? So actually I think in this manner we are actually going to want to tighten the coil stop down, because those screws, this doesn't have enough room to move. These are on like a U shape or an elongated hole. So now if I squish this down, I'll clamp the coil down as best as possible and tighten it so it sits nice and snug. And now we have a drop target assembly. Yay. Okay, let's bolt this back in and let's chase 5 volts for a second. That's actually more interesting than working on flippers, well, at least to me. Let's see what we've got for a sec. We definitely have a solid, like, another episode on this game doing the mechanical stuff. So. But there's, I don't know, maybe some people that watch, this goes to show that a lot of work does go into rehabbing a game. There's a lot of things that you need to do in a proper order, and that's why I always liked working on pinball so much, more so than other things I've worked on in my life, is that there's so many disciplines involved with working on pinball games, and the problem solving is just very satisfying to me. The direct result between causation and repair is great. That's why I like working on electromechanical games so much. Electromechanical games are very much like, here's a problem, and what you do is going to have like a one-to-one impact on how it is fixed. Where a lot of the more modern games, it's, oh, this coil drive doesn't work anymore. Okay, well, replace magic electrical component, and said magical electrical component now makes everything work again, and it's satisfying, but repairing electromechanical or solid-state games is very procedural, where electromechanical stuff takes a little bit more brain power from me, I guess. I mean, I guess they're both procedural, but I like the one-to-one response versus pure fixes, I guess. Okay, sweet. Let's open up the game. I'm very proud that I haven't gotten my beautiful shirt that was gifted to me by Michael Grant of Stern Pinball dirty yet. Thank you, Michael and Stern.
It is a bitchin' shirt, as I would say. Okay, so without using a schematic, let's see if we can figure this out. Actually, no. Let's do that though. Maybe switch. Actually, this camera's probably going to be better to show what we're looking at, but you can use that one to look at me. I want to wash my hands. My hands are icky, gross, and dirty. Give me a moment. Yep. I bet you guys can still hear me. You can hear me washing. A little bit of pinball ASMR. All right. All right, we're back. What time is it? Have I?
Wait, sir.
Nice. I haven't bored you guys too much then, I'm sure. Bicycle Nut. Hey, what's up, dude? I know who you are. This is definitely one of the best games. You just got your Foo Fighters, didn't you? You liking that thing? I think I saw on the Pinside thread that I have been lurking in, watching people complain and enjoy. It was nice to see you very briefly in Lodi too. I wish I could have sat down and chatted a little longer, but it was a busy weekend. Okay, so we have a power supply. Our power supply, how does the power supply work? Well, pretty simple. It's elementary. No, I was kidding. AC voltages come in here. High voltage for your display comes out here. Other voltages come out here. These are for the regulated voltages. The auxiliary. Oh yeah, you guys couldn't see. Okay, AC, high voltage. All the other voltage is stupid tripod. All right, now we're really in there. Okay. Then we've got our auxiliary driver board down here. Heavy duty transistors, 50 volts, AC select relay, diodes for all of the coils. And then we do have some more AC voltages coming in here, but these voltages are for solenoids. Sorry, it was not focused or centered. These are solenoid voltages, so you've got rectifiers here for the 50 and then the 24 volts that the solenoids do run on. Our problem is going to be up here though, most likely. Now I do remember that wire was black and yellow, and we do see right here we have a black and yellow wire coming out of the power supply. Oh, hey, wait. I see the problem. So, well, this is easy. Let's go back again. How many times? Okay, wait. Before I keep going, I think I've gone over the System 11 board set like 15 bazillion times. So I want to know, like, do you want me to explain what's going on here, or should I just tell you what's wrong? Digirati said yes when I found the issue, and it was the same thing he talked about, but this was me just not putting the game back together all the way. So totally self-inflicted issue. System 11B, yes, this is System 11B. Pinball Magician says Cliff Notes version. Okay. Sorry, hold on. I'm getting a bunch of things going on my phone. I need to respond to one of them. I apologize. Huh. Oh no. Okay. Did I ever? I told everyone about the arcade in Sweden. That's Black Cat Pinball, right? yeah, never mind, I just got an email from them because I have blackcatpinball@gmail.com for my business. And I just got an email from info@blackcatpinball.com. So I need to just email them again. And Black Cat Dude's been in our chat room before, and I've told him of all the Swedish people I've had to tell, like, hey, I am not this. Talk to them on Facebook here.
Yeah.
Anyways, okay, Cliff Notes version. This board sucks because it's gigantic and there's a million connections you have to take in and out. Well, what if you need to disassemble the game or remove the playfield? Oh, okay, let's make a interconnect board, something that the playfield and cabinet can connect to so we can disconnect those things from the head to easily separate it. Well, we have our 12 volts coming out of the power supply, but what is not plugged in here to the interconnect board is, oh, the black and yellow wire and the gray and yellow wire, which carry that 12 volts down to the playfield harness. So this was disconnected, thus why we didn't have 12 volts. If I very simply go and connect this back to where it's supposed to be, suddenly everything will work again. This may have been disconnected because of some of the BS that happened with me, like in the harness in the back. We kept pulling on it because the harness wasn't in its loom, and it probably just got yanked because it is part of the switch harness. Why is it part of the switch harness? Well, because it goes to the opto board that is for the drop targets. So me consistently yanking on the switch harness has done a bad thing. This is also why it's important to place and guide your wires the correct way. So you don't tug or make problems with the harness. So that was a man-made problem. Now let's go in there and see if the optos work. It would be rare for all three optos to fail at once, but this game is so grody, or was so grody, that it wouldn't surprise me if that feature just like didn't work for the longest time. So. Let me put it into, oops, no, go backwards. Okay, reboot, go into test, switch edges. So let's just prove that we have a fix here by putting the voltmeter on our connector. Da, 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 da. Remember to always go for the simple stuff first. That is the moral of the story here. $11.92 volts. Okay, that's exactly what the doctor ordered. This is why I'm always trying to inform and teach, especially telling our fine folks in customer service to, when people call in asking for these very uncommon boards or stuff like that, it's like, well, or massive assemblies, it's like the customer generally doesn't need that, right? Let's try to figure out what's wrong. That's why it's always, you hear all those go on, all the optos just got power, so. But they are going all over the place, so I feel like we have a very dirty opto or a bad connector, because when I wiggle the power connector here, they're going in and out. If I wiggle the switch connector, they don't go in and out, but if I wiggle the power, they do. So we definitely have a bad connector, but let's also make sure that they'll change states. Okay, so they work, but we've got a bummer connector. So I guess since we're on this now, let's just replace the connector, because that's fine, dandy, and easy. What I was saying, though, is maybe a customer or someone, and you just got to learn your games. You have to learn how to troubleshoot and stuff like that. And this is kind of why maybe I've got a bad reputation for just calling out board swappers. What do people not understand most with pinball? Circuit boards, electronics, right? Most people don't understand electronics. I mean, I don't understand all electronics. I just know enough to be dangerous and break things or fix things. But right, the number one thing is like, well, my drop targets don't work, so the opto board must be bad. Well, no, right? If you had the exact same problem I did, that wouldn't fix anything. And then if you had this problem here, that also would not fix anything. So you need, as you learn to troubleshoot your pinball game, don't jump to conclusions, I think is what, you want to rule things out. Learn a process, learn a procedure to, do things the right way. So let's see if we can find enough things to do this job without opening my toolbox, and that's not possible. I did find a connector, but I was trying to see. It's all I need are 2 Crimp and Stuff Molex pins. Like, there has to be some in here somewhere, right? Oh, alas, I must. Wait. Oh, that's to attach the board to the. I was like, why do I have these extra E-clips and stuff? Let me open up my box and get a pair of pins. One, 2. What other tools do we need? We need a wire stripper, we need a crimpy crimper, and we need a snippy snipper. Okay, so we need a 4-pin connector. I'm going to cut this connector down to 4 positions. I'm going to clean up one end really quick. And then we're probably going to call it for today. We'll go into Q&A mode, etc. Okay, so we need 1, 2, 3, 4 positions. So I'll cut here. I need to email those dudes in Sweden. I feel really bad, especially now that they're sending me emails. And like, I'm not going to change the name of my business, but I also I don't want to hurt their business by like having people try to reserve their arcade and then not hear back from them because they think they're talking. Even though my page says Black Cat Pinball Repair in South Carolina, I still have all sorts of people in northern Sweden trying to rent an arcade. Also, I should maybe just hide that business page because I think I just made that page on Facebook so Emoto and I could like prototype streaming back in 2000. We'll see. Okay, so I'm going to take our IDC connector here, and we are going to pull one wire at a time. We're going to pull that wire out, which is position 1, is what I'm going to call it. I just mangled the ever-living hell out of that wire while trying to strip it, so we're going to try again. I'm going to strip that wire. I'm going to grab a pin, get my handy-dandy crimper. We're going to crimp a wire on. So this is Crimp and Stuff. Someone asked, what is IDC? Well, this is the opposite of IDC. This is a Crimp Molex, a KK, Crimp and Stuff connector. What this is a pin that is crimped onto a stripped section of the wire and then wire with insulation to give a very secure hold. And then the pin rests up against a spring-loaded pin, and it is a very solid, sure contact. I also forgot a keying pin, so let me grab a key really quick. Sweet. So this has a locking ramp, so what way is going to fit best? This way fits best, since this is not a connector with a locking ramp. So that means that this guy goes here, right? I already forgot which way fit best. It's this way that fits, yes, okay. So this guy goes in here. The next position is key.
So I will key this connector now by blocking it off. And what the key is it puts a plastic pin inside the receptacle, so that means you can't plug it off one pin. In some instances, that could be absolutely disastrous. You would make things go explodey. We don't want that. Do that, grab our crimpy crimp. I'm not showing how to do this because I've shown this like 15 bazillion times. I can't tell you what episodes, but I've done it 15 bazillion times. Ugh, I don't feel like moving the camera over. Okay, so now we done did that. We can plug it back in. I'll turn the game back on. It's pissed off because it has no battery, so it's like, factory reset. Come on. Now I'm going to wiggle the connector and see. Ta-da! It works. Yay! Okay, good. Well, we fixed the power problem. We're likely going to have drop targets that absolutely are just fine, and that makes me happy. So let me see if I can put this back on while it's now installed on the game, which is a little bit tighter to work on by forgetting those E-clips on, but I think I can do it. And then I will come back in and check on chat, and we'll do some Q&A. So I can stop. Well, I'll stop working a bit, and the last thing I'm going to do today, I think, is try to get the screws into the ramp in the back, maybe before I leave, or maybe I'll come and do that tomorrow. Who knows? But and then I can almost consider the upper side done. We'll finish off some of the mechanical stuff down here. All right, we just need to rebuild the flippers because that absolutely needs to be done. We need to oil and grease the portions of the game that need oil and grease. And then we can play. Yeah, new flipper buttons. We definitely need to put new flipper buttons on. Just a tidbit more cleaning to do of the outside. We're going to put new leg levelers on the game. I think to keep the cost still down, we're going to keep the legs that are on the game. Then we will play Elvira. I'll tell the customer it's done, get paid, and the customer can sell Elvira and someone can enjoy it after it's been helped back to life. Oh, and a new shooter rod, because this one's really bad. Good job, everybody. Okay, I'm going to move this camera out of the way, and then we can use the main Sony cam, I guess. Whee! Yeah, I'll switch it over on the computer. Y'all, I'm going to need to go grab a drink. Actually, I have a drink right here. Pan it over a little bit more since that upper camera is like weird. Put my handy dandy voltmeter away. All right, we did it. We solved issues. We made things better, and all around had a great time. Or something like that. Who knows? I'm reading Daniel's comment here. Upper left flipper opto switch. What was the problem, Daniel? Was it dirty, or was it just burning out, or what? Mr. J. Crane, that is a good process there. Dumb Fucker just subscribed. Thanks, mate. I appreciate your subscription. I wish I could say your name phonetically the way I want to, but if Emoto's listening, she might get angry. Just kidding. Welcome to the channel. Thank you for your support. Yeah. I'm, man, it's only 4:27. Maybe there's a little more to do. What's up?
I'm gonna move that one.
Oh, you want to get rid of this camera so it's not staring at my chest? Nice, thanks. We've got a nest of wires down there, so. Careful. Careful. I will take a picture of the game to send to the customer so I can prove to him that something is actually happening with the game. I want to make sure that they know that it is moving along and it looks quite okay.
Oh, yeah, don't fall.
Hmm?
No trip cuts.
Oh, geez. Yeah, that's a good one.
I'll move this over. I subscribed too.
You subscribed?
Yeah.
Wait, who are you?
I was Jameson63.
Wait, why didn't come up?
I don't know why it didn't come up.
Thank you for subscribing. And
I will follow.
oh, you following is different.
Let me see.
I think our plugin is a little goofy. So following is like you'll know when we're going live, and subscribing is when you give me $5.
Oh, I'm not giving you
You don't need to give me $5. I need to give you $5 for helping. Kay Hizzle, question for you. I keep getting 2 balls spit out on my Batman 66. I've cleaned the optos in the trough, and it still happens periodically. Any advice? Well, what I would, okay, the first thing, if you told me that and I came to your house to service your game, how many balls do you have in the game? Do you have the correct amount of balls? Since you're saying that it's periodic, it sounds more like a hardware issue, not an incorrect amount of balls. So I would say you need to get that game into the trough test. And as awful as it sounds, get it into trough test, make a fist, get your hand right in between those flippers and just pound a little bit. What you'll do is you'll cause vibrations in the ball trough. And a lot of, sometimes you'll have the issue in the ball troughs where the optos will crack. The actual leads to the optos will crack off of the PCB. And what that happens because they stick off perpendicular and the ball trough is just near so many things that vibrate, right? Flippers make a bunch of noise or vibrations. The auto plunger makes a bunch of vibrations. The ball serve makes a bunch of vibrations. So you could actually have a bad opto. It might not necessarily be a dirty opto. So if you're having periodic disconnections, the game is going to lose track of a ball and maybe spit another one out. So usually your transmitters go out before your receivers. I think the stern receivers are actually a smaller diode too, but give it a little pound and see what the switch matrix does. The way to throw money at the problem would be to replace the transmitter board and see if that solves the problem. Or if you have an extra one laying around, or if you have another Spike 2 game, swap it from another game over to your Batman if you can confirm that the part numbers are compatible. And that's a good way to at least try something different. So, Eternal Grimmy, hello. Shell Shock, is this someone else's game, or do you own it or rent it to them? No, this is someone's game that I work on their games for them. This is their game. They wanted it fixed so they can sell it. So that is that is the story with this game. A lot of the games we worked on this show are mine, or they are the company's games. That's kind of it, really. But yeah. Send them links to all the VODs. Oh, yeah, I know. It's like, hey, dude, I swear I'm working on it. Here's like 15 hours worth of content of me like wiggling and messing with it. You appreciate me sharing my knowledge. I appreciate you tuning in to listen, because if people didn't come here to listen to me blabble, then there would not be any show. Hopefully that works. Please, please give it a shot and report back. Daniel, the transmitter was, okay, yeah. The guy that owns this game is a old school operator. He used to run a bunch of pinballs in South Carolina in the 80s and 90s. So I don't know. I don't think he has any. I don't think this is a game he cares much about, since he does want to sell it. But I kind of hope he would. I kind of want this game. I really like it. I just don't need, I need another pinball game, like I need another hole in my head, so I will not do that. I appreciate you guys tuning in. I'm here to try and help. So, but yeah, I think I know we worked on another one of this fella's games, Surf Champ. We worked on Surf Champ on and off a little bit here and there a while ago, and that was one of this customer's games as well. Once this is done, I think we might bust out the Shadow, do a quick game or something on the Shadow, maybe. But yeah, it's there's always something to do. If pinball exists, it needs to be fixed, and we've got plenty of pinball here, and they need to be fixed. Any tips to test switch rows and columns on a Whirlwind? Cables are correct and fully swapped with new crimps, etc. Well, what's wrong? Are you having switches not reporting? Do you have shorts? One thing I would recommend for like good procedural things to learn about when it comes to testing switches and learning about the switch matrix and finding problems is to go on to PinWiki. Not reporting a whole column. Okay, well what switches are on that column? You may have accidentally shorted solenoid voltage to your switch drives. That happens. It's annoying. A lot of the times when people say, I have a whole column not reporting. Well, what switches are on that column? Well, the pop bumper and this and that. And a lot of times when people are working on the game with the power on, if they're adjusting that pop bumper switch, it's not hard to slip and short 25 volts to something that should only have 5. So right flipper is first. I think the flipper lane change switches on the System 11 games have an opto isolator, so even if you were to short voltage to them, it would not destroy the whole column. What I'd recommend, mate, is go onto PinWiki and read about how those things work and the best ways to test them. That might be the best way to do it. It is hard to give switch column advice and stuff like that, or switch matrix advice without seeing the game. But one way you can test to ensure that it works is you can short them out on the board. Take the wiring harness out. Refer to the camera in the upper right of your screen. Get some alligator clips. Here's your switch columns. Oh wait, hold on, let's brighten this up a little. Green is switch columns, yellow is switch rows. Let's say column 1 isn't working. We'll put an alligator clip on column 1 and then take the other end of it and go beep, 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 and switch test. And that's basically you closing switches like the switch matrix would. And that's going to isolate everything out of the computer. So if it works up here, but it doesn't work when the game is on, well, now we know that there's either a problem from here to the interconnect, maybe there's a problem on the interconnect, maybe there's a problem with the switch wires coming out here, it's in your harness, it's on your playfield, but there's ways you can step it down and isolate or move the problem closer and closer to the goal. I also need to put new tape on this because that is bad. The display is goofy. Yeah, try the test first. Try the test first because the test might tell you more than anything else. But read up, be careful. You can still do damage doing that kind of a test because you are poking around in the computer. But as long as you do it very deliberately, you're less likely to have a problem. But I would say try that first, and that will confirm that the column is dead. I installed a new solenoid from Marco for Elvira and the Party Monsters multi-ball, but once I get the 3 balls captured, it sometimes doesn't launch all 3 balls out of the chute. If the coil works at all, the coil is most likely good. You might have a problem with the linkage. Maybe in the way that you reassembled it was not correct. Let's take a look at that. I think it's just a kicker, so it should be very similar to a slingshot. Ensure that it moves nice and free. If it doesn't move and return back home very easy and simple, it could require a little bit of grease. The pivot point could require grease, not the solenoid plunger or anything like that. Right, it's the coil pulls in a plunger, which then pivots like an L-shaped arm to kick the balls. So if it's not moving really smooth, the coil might have to, I don't know, check there first. That would be a place I would check. And make sure that the mechanism is working nice and dandy. And then I don't know where to tell you to look next. Yeah, check and just make sure it moves smooth. Hopefully that'll do it. Drager. Hey, Drager. I said this in the beginning, but you weren't there. Tomorrow, I swear to God, I'm bringing this to the office with me. I'm going to send it to you, mate. Why are there not as many callouts in the Chicago Gaming Attack from Mars remake? Seems like they cut a lot of it out. Interesting. I have not noticed that. But I also haven't played a ton of the remake.
I don't think I've played a remake one.
I think that's the one that they have here. They don't have they don't have a real one at Bangback. It's a Chicago Gaming one.
Oh, okay, I got you.
But I guess if
Oh, I have.
you haven't played the other one very much, you
There's one at the break,
yeah?
Charleston.
Huh. I don't know. I'm not sure. I've never noticed that. It's one of my favorite games. I should know that. I should kind of have it memorized.
Yeah, what is it missing out?
Yeah, what callouts are missing? Do you notice anything that are missing? Like what callouts are missing or segments or something?
Talking about sound-wise?
Mm-hmm.
Attack!
Germany is victorious. What is it there? What's the Italian one?
Nobody messes with the USA.
Yeah, nobody messes with the USA. That game rules. It's so good. That's my favorite. That would be.
That's probably the game like I really just like fell in love with pinball with.
Erin says that's the game that she fell in love with. I would say that, like, if my two Desert Island games would probably be Deadpool and Attack from Mars. Those are two games that I just don't get tired of playing. I enjoy them very much for different reasons. Drager says they think that the humans insult the aliens a lot more in the original. Interesting, yeah.
I probably have never played an original, to be honest.
Huh. I mean, it's such a faithful reproduction. It's hard to tell, like unless you really know what you're looking for. So, Daniel brings up a good point about the pivot on the X-Force pinball game. All those cool European games that you get. Yeah, goodness, my brain is mush today.
You should have them fund a PinTech overseas.
A what?
PinTech overseas.
Yeah, fund it. I'll go to Europe and we'll work on pinball games in Europe. It'd be kind of dreamy, really. What was I going to say? I don't think I drank enough coffee today. I'm like really sleepy right now. Loose Flip is rating with a party of 35. Great. So I'm sitting here like exhausted, ready to go to sleep, and now we've got 35 of Loose Flip's followers. Hello. I guess what time is it in Germany right now? It's late. Guten Nacht. Herzlich willkommen, meine Freunde, I guess. I don't know. What's up, y'all? Thank you for joining. What were you guys doing? What were you playing, Andy? Were you playing something cool, something crazy? We were just kind of wrapping up on Elvira. We kind of fixed a bunch of stuff today. So we've got a pretty Elvira now. It's kind of pretty. It's almost done. What's up, y'all? Build your island solar array out of coconuts. Yes, I probably would. 10:43 p.m. Or if we were measuring it superiorly, it's 2243. Big Lebowski, good choice, mate. That's a good one. I love me some Big Lebowski. That game's hilarious.
Well, I would say Pinball Magic.
Pinball Magic is
I love that game.
your desert island game.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that one too. Okay, here's my question to all of you guys then. If you could bring one pinball game and you had to be stuck somewhere for a year and you could only play one game, what would it be? What would it be? Just one. Just one. If it was just one, I would probably choose Deadpool. Godzilla Premium.
I would be Avengers.
Avengers is Aaron's. Jay Crane says Monster Bash. What lubricant to use for the pivot? Just use some light motor oil or something.
Iron Maiden.
Got an Iron Maiden, The Big Lebowski, Indiana Jones Pinball Adventure. That's a good choice. That is a game that's hard to get tired of. TJ Adams on Facebook says, The Addams Family. Well, that kind of fitting since your name is Adams. Multiple Iron Maidens. A Circus Voltaire. Interesting. Iron Maiden would be a really good choice too. That one, I mean, it's got a good soundtrack, first off. Daniel says Fishtails, good choice.
Oh, Infinity Quest.
Dragger says, yeah, Infinity Quest or Jersey Jack Pirates. Yeah, lots to explore. The games are very different every time you play. Yeah. I think, I don't know, I think Deadpool. Deadpool's probably my favorite, but Deadpool's not necessarily the deepest game. It's just, it's enjoyable to me though. I like playing it every time. If I have some stuff to smoke for the year, I'd say Led Zeppelin. Yeah, that's a good jukebox with a pinball game, a good pinball game attached. So okay, yeah, I can see that. Big Lebowski would be a good choice. Big Lebowski is a fun game. Have you played that one, Aaron?
Yes, but I didn't spend a lot of time on it.
Yeah, it's a good game.
Yeah.
Next time you see one, I'm sure you need to spend some time playing that thing. It's pretty good. Yeah, that's a hard question though, because I feel like a lot of people like to ask me, it's like, oh, what's your favorite pinball game? Well, it's like, to be honest, like if you asked me that 7 days in a row, I'd probably give you 4 different answers. This changes all the time.
I like that Jersey Pirates is a great choice because you'll be stuck on an island for a year and only know 50% of the
Yeah,
place.
right. That's a Jersey Jack Pirates is
That
pretty
was
crazy.
Toy Story too. Like,
Bye,
if you play a
Digiradio.
game where you don't know like all of the modes and stuff.
Yeah, if I'm going to be stuck on a desert island, I want the newest game because then I get a year to learn the whole thing, right?
Right.
Gilligan's Island, that's a good choice. Yeah, you definitely would need something that's has some good replayability for sure. As much as I love Strikes and Spares or Viking, I'd get very bored of those games pretty quick if I had to only play that every day. So, yeah, I think we're in a really brilliant time. Like personally, I find Avengers to be a little too complicated. I don't know what's going on. I like shooting that game a lot, but there's so much going on. It's been difficult for me to learn the rules, you know. So.
Avengers?
Yeah, Avengers Infinity Quest is a little complicated for me. I'm not sure what's going on. As a child, I was playing Addams Family every summer. Yeah, I remember playing Addams Family a lot when I was going to the arcades as a kid, too. That and Twilight Zone were my favorite games as a kid. Now I have Twilight Zone, and I don't play it ever because I've played it too much, but I love it so much, I won't get rid of it. Yeah, I think, you know, a game, you can't see it now, but James Bond is right behind right next to the Foo Fighters game right here. The new update for James Bond seems to be very good. I'm excited to try the new update and see some of the new features they put in. I really like shooting that game, and now that there's even more stuff to do, I'm very excited to check that out. Is Marco only selling Titan rubbers now? Will you still carry super bands? Yes, we definitely still carry both. You may have seen a lot of promotions around super bands just because it's new. I'm sorry, Titan, just because they're a new product. But we'll definitely be carrying both because both of them are good in different applications. So we want to make sure everyone gets everything they want. Speaking of rubber, I have new flippers for Elvira here, and I'm going to use regular rubber. The good old classic, the red stuff. Actually, you know what? We've got 10 minutes. I think I can afford to have a beverage, right?
Yeah.
This is a successful day. We did a good job. Let's go to the kitchen here. Ooh. I'll take this. A good old Stella Artois. Why not? All right. This is actually just water.
Carbonated water.
I like fancy water in green bottles. All right, my friends, we are rolling up. I'm running out of things to talk about, but because I'm so exhausted. But what's everyone's plans for the weekend? Does anyone have any pinball plans? Anyone doing anything exciting? My wife is going out of town. I think I'm going to repair one of my amplifiers or refoam some speakers. I have some floor speakers that have very rotted out foam, and I found a website that sells replacements, so I am going to be replacing the foam. So now I can use these speakers, and I'm very excited. I've been going through all of my stereo equipment and seeing what works, what doesn't, what I want to keep, what I don't want to keep. I have a lot of stereo equipment, and it's time to get rid of some. Can we talk about No Fear? Yes. Yeah, bring that back up, mate. Oh, NASCAR in Sonoma. Man, I love going to see NASCAR at Sonoma. I used to live very close to Infineon Raceway. So I would go out there to see NASCAR all the time. I don't particularly like NASCAR, not my favorite series, but it is fun to watch them on a actual racetrack, or on a racetrack that turns left and right. Play some Elvira and the Party Monsters at work. Okay, that's a good idea. Mr. Ghostface here, or Mr. or Mrs. Ghostface. I mean, why not? Daniel's going to go work on his Ford this weekend. That sounds good. Roller derby in Iowa. Nice. Is there any pinball in Iowa? What is Iowa like? I've never been to Iowa. I like NASCAR. I've seen NASCAR races before. I just don't follow it. The racing is not as exciting to me. But not because I'm an elitist and because I like watching only Formula One, really, but I like watching Indy 500 too, but I just don't follow NASCAR. Dragger, end of the month going in a fast break tournament where they have 2 hooked up. Really excited for that. That is a really fun experience. My friend TJ always brings his linked fast breaks to California Extreme, the greatest pinball and arcade video game event in the South Bay of the Bay Area. So
they link up?
Pinball Magician lives in Iowa. Yeah. What else is in Iowa? Is there anything to do in Iowa? I don't know. I've never been there. Yeah, they link up. So you play to a certain amount of points, and whoever gets there first wins. So you're playing against the person next to you. It's so rad. Edible Bard. I'm doing more testing, and this is what I've discovered. Sometimes the right end of stroke switch will work in switch test mode, but it seems that shorting the pins on the Fliptronic board does not work for the lower right flipper. Like shorting... Huh. I need a schematic. We need to figure out this problem for your game. That's a really bizarre one. I don't remember what goes in. Actually, you know what? Hold on. There's a shadow over here. Let me just take a look, and I can see. Oh, good. The keys are in the back glass, too. AC power, 512 volts. That's the switchy stuff. And where does the switchy stuff go? I don't remember. Does that just go straight to the playfield? Does it transmit switch closures via the ribbon cables?
It may. How does it sometimes work? Sometimes working means intermittent problems are harder to figure out than non-intermittent problems. But what do you mean sometimes? Because that's weird. Things don't work sometimes. Oh my goodness. There's so much chatting. I'm happy you guys are here. Also, I should have explained to all of our friends from Loose Flip what this channel is all about, but it's a little too late for them. Most of them are probably sleeping. It's so late in Germany.
I don't think we have any Supermans. Do you have any Supermans?
I don't have any super bands on me, no. Actually, yeah, no, I don't. Well, I mean, actually, I do on Baywatch. I would put super bands on Baywatch. Edible Bard, I think I have a bad wire or something, but I'm not sure how the Fliptronic board works. If I short any other pins, like something, they respond. I think it's an issue with U4. Yeah, well, I mean, if you sent solenoid voltage to that chip, then yes, it very well could. Do you have a logic probe? Do you know how to use it? Do you want to learn how to use it? You might be able to poke around. That might help you. While under the game, I can mess with the end-of-stroke switch and wires, and it will make connection if held in a certain position. Oh, you've got a broken wire somewhere, man. If U4 wouldn't, if U4 was bad, you would have nothing. If you wiggle the harness and you suddenly get some connection, that's something else. So it might be something you might want to do with a partner. Wiggle that harness in the correct position and then actuate the switch, right? And then see what happens. It sounds like you might have a break somewhere, and that's not common. But physical trauma to the harness in certain places can happen. But U4 probably won't be bad if it's working sometimes, especially if you're wiggling a harness. So. All right, we're talking about Superband chat here. Superbands do last forever. Titans seem to be a little bouncier. Superbands are a lot duller in the bounce, but they last forever. I personally prefer regular rubber on flippers almost all the time over Titan or Superband. I like the way white rubbers bounce on classic games, but as I've put I have Superbands on my TNA at home, and I have Superbands on Baywatch, and I do like the way they play. I was a Superband disliker for many, 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 many years, other than the ones that would just in hard to get places that I didn't want to break. And I'm not just saying this because my company sells them, but I have changed. I do like the way that Superbands play, but I don't like flippers. I still like regular flipper rubbers. But they definitely last forever. They're very tough. Where Titans maybe have the lifespan of regular rubber within, plus or minus 10% perhaps, but they're a bit bouncier, which I prefer because I like the wildness that creates. So there's definitely a time and place for them both in different places. It's up to you to figure it out. But yeah, Edible Bard, try to figure out where there's a break. You need Daniel says try to ohm it out, right? Find resistance. See if there's connectivity between the switch and the pin at the top. And if there's not, well, there might be your problem. Try that. It seems like that might be something to try first. Like, let's go back to the real basics and things that you normally wouldn't have to do a lot of the time because harnesses usually don't break. But you never know. It's something to try. I'm excited to work on, oh yeah, there's someone outside with like super sweet subwoofers. Maybe you guys couldn't hear that, but I'm excited to work on some stereo equipment. We'll see. I have some stuff I need to get rid of. I have a lot of tape decks. I don't have a ton of cassette tapes anymore, but I do have a good amount. I think I'm gonna keep them, but I'd like to try and repair as many as I can and give them to friends or sell them, but I don't know. I have an amplifier I need to fix. I've got a very dirty switch, so I have some deoxit, and I'm going to try and saturate the switch with some deoxit and see if it'll work. It's a really nice Pioneer chrome-faced receiver that it's just beautiful. My dad bought it when he was like 18 or something. And it sounds great, but I have a channel that's missing. It's annoyingly one of the channel select, and it only allows. It's like a dual pole switch. So when it's not working, the left channel doesn't work anymore. So I can push it in. I'll only hear things out of the right. But if I push the switch even more, the left will work. So it should be pretty simple to fix. But it's going to take some concentration and motivation, which frankly I don't know if I'll have, because this weekend maybe I'm just going to turn lazy. We'll see. I know myself, and I generally like to be lazy. So, free shipping code from PinFest. No worries, mate. We have free shipping codes every week. It's not showing right now, but it's PT-Cassandra, all caps. So if you want to use the free shipping code from this week, you can. A couple drops. You don't need much deoxit. Yeah, definitely. It's going to be very little. I'm mostly curious to see what the switch actually looks like, because it's a push switch. So I'm not sure how much access I'm going to actually have to the switch. Everyone have a great day. You know what? You too. I hope you have a great day. Y'all deserve a great day because it's a nice feeling to have a great day. I'm having a great day. Today is a great day. A perfect place similar to Titan. Don't know, don't have any experience with them at all. Can I use deoxit on jukebox volume pots? Yeah, probably. I don't see why not. A lot of the time I find with like volume pots that are kind of bad is just like actuating them a lot. But I think deoxit might be the more permanent way to fix it because it will dissolve or remove some of that schmutz. So yeah, deoxit's very expensive, so definitely use sparingly. Spunky, that's a great question, mate. Do you like having physical copies of manuals or digital? Only physical. Digital manuals are a pain in the butt. Can you imagine like looking at a schematic for a computer on your phone? I mean, I have shit eyesight, so that definitely doesn't work, but a real manual for every game that I own, definitely. I have a huge library of manuals. Every swap meet I ever go to at pinball shows, I have an Excel spreadsheet of all the game manuals I have, and I'm trying to get most of them. Now, to be honest, like most manuals you can use from game to game to game to game to game to game. Right? You can figure things out with wire colors, and the schematics for boards are used over and over again. But I always have a game manual for all my games. It's important to me. C&K, Deoxit has a product called Fader Lube. Best for pots on audio. Interesting. Okay, that's good to know. I might need to get some of that. They have it at Guitar Center? Can you confirm that they have it at Guitar Center? I might run over there. We have a Guitar Center here, right, Aaron?
Yes.
Is it at Harbison?
I think so. There's also like a guitar shop next to Planet Fitness in Casey. It's like small, just open.
I go to Sims Music on Broad River, but they don't have. I mean, they might not have that. Not sure anymore. I don't like going into Guitar Center because I usually then I'll buy something, and I like to support small music shops, not Guitar Center. So. But yeah, audio stuff. Anyways, let me see who there is to raid. I appreciate you guys sticking around. As always, it's my highlight of my week to get to sit down and chat and talk with y'all. So. Daniel prints the schematics at his work. That's
Brilliant, brilliant. Good job. Okay, I can close that window. Let's go on Twitch and see who's streaming. And we'll give it like 5 more minutes. You are absolutely right down to go since it's basically time.
Cool.
But AI Jesus? I kind of want to make everyone go talk to AI Jesus.
Right, still excited.
Yeah, we're not going to do that. Okay. Will I see you tomorrow? Do you work tomorrow?
Yep.
All right, I'll see you tomorrow.
All weekend.
All weekend? Oh, I won't be here all weekend. But I will see you tomorrow. Oh! Hey, Borg Dog. Borg Dog is streaming, and he is a viewer of our wonderful channel, and he's playing Starlight.
Back on. Yeah, my internet here has been wonky.
Hold on, why is... Turn the audio off. Let's go raid our friend Borg Dog, friend of the show Borg Dog, playing Starlight. That's a rare game. That's a really interesting game. Spunky, always love the stream. Thanks for doing them. Thanks for joining. I appreciate all of you. I'm very lucky to be able to have any sort of an audience of people to come and watch this. I never thought we would have a consistent viewer base, so thank you. JJP did have beautiful manuals. Guitar Centers will ship it to store. Okay, that's good to know. Yeah, you guys have a good weekend. I'm going to set this up to raid Borg Dog. So everyone on Twitch, we're going to go see Borg Dog. He watches our stream. He's cool. He's playing Starlight. It's a rare game that Williams didn't make very many of. Like the first time they almost went out of business in the mid-'80s. It's an interesting looking game. So next week, I don't know what we're going to do. There could be something, here, I guess you want to see my head. There could be something fun involving interviewing someone, maybe not. If not, I am going to have this dialed in. This will be dialed in. The top will be done. We will put new flippers in, and we will start playing the game. That is my plan otherwise. Then hopefully we can wrap it up. I mean, it's just the small things from here on out. Like I said, flipper buttons, shooter rod, leg levelers, clean up the coin door, make sure that it's vacuumed again, toss out all the garbage, wipe off all the schmutz, put a key in it. So, no, the Godzilla topper did not sell out. We haven't received them yet. They should be here soon-ish, though. They should be here soonish. I am excited to see it. Thank you, Shellshock. Thank you, thank you. Great stream, thank you. I appreciate you, Daniel. All right, I'm going to make us raid Borg Dog. So everyone on Twitch, you're going to go see Borg Dog. Everyone on Facebook and YouTube, you're going to stick around here for just a second, then I'm going to hit end stream. So raid Borg Dog. And I'm going to push enter. Okay, goodbye, friends. Thank you again. Buying 10 Godzilla toppers. Good for you. Corner the market. You'll have like 1%. Okay, goodbye, everyone. Thank you. All right, Twitch and YouTube. You guys are